And welcome back, everybody, to Summer with the Stars, episode 14. I'm Owen Newkirk, and today we are joined with one of the bright young faces of the Dallas Stars organization. Left winger Curtis McKenzie joins us. And Curtis, you're actually not at home, and you're certainly not in Dallas because you and the rest of the Stars traveling roster for this particular event are in Traverse City, Michigan, getting ready for the NHL's prospect tournament that starts tomorrow, actually, as we tape this on Wednesday. Tell me a little bit about what it's like hitting the road for your first Dallas Stars trip, so to speak.
Oh, it's been a blast so far. It's been good getting to know the younger guys. I mean, already knew pretty much the majority of the group here from development camps and through my time with Texas, but it's been a good time up here in Michigan. It's a lot warmer and nicer weather, and it's definitely a nicer place to be than a few times I've been here in winter with university hockey.
Now, you guys play tomorrow night. It's 6 o'clock Central Time against St. Louis. Then you play Friday night against Detroit, and then you play Sunday afternoon against Minnesota. That's a grueling game schedule over 3 days. It's 3 and 4 after having really not played any competitive full contact games over the course of the summer. Is this going to be a bit of a shock to the system?
Hopefully not. I mean, it's hard to tell. I've never really jumped in it quite so fast before. We had a practice today that was pretty up tempo, and guys are already starting to do a bit of physical work out there just to get the bodies ready for it, because tomorrow night, everyone out here is trying to prove a point and make a statement with their organization and that as well. So, that there will be a lot of physicality this weekend. So the body, hopefully everyone's is ready. I mean, I think we all probably had good summers and worked hard for this time. So it'll be good to get going.
I was going to say, is it kind of exciting to get on the ice and play because now you don't have to worry about some of the stuff that you've dealt with by hitting the gym all the summertime?
Yeah, it's definitely nice. Well, for me personally, I've been right pretty much from when I left Austin at the end of last year. I've just been itching to get back and start my first full year of pro hockey. So summer went by really short, and I'm glad it did because, I'm ready to get games going and get the season going here.
Now, I know that everybody in the hockey ops side of the Dallas organization is, I believe they're all planning to be at this tournament, and there are a lot of NHL GMs that go there and scouts and other things. But who's actually calling the shots behind the benches for your team, for the Dallas Stars team for this tournament?
We actually have Willie and Doug who are up there in Texas, so I think it's good for us. Good for the guys that will be joining Texas this year as well, just to get familiar with them. So they're our coaches this weekend, so lucky to have them.
Do you feel pretty comfortable because of the fact that you had the time with Texas last year with both coaches in the end of the regular season and into the playoffs, that now going into this tournament, you're just, absolutely, you know what to expect, you know what they're asking for, and it's not like you're getting used to a new set of bosses?
Yeah, I definitely say I'm a lot more confident now. I think last year with the whole experience was pretty much every aspect when I first came into Austin that I was pretty bug-eyed and in shock that I was playing pro hockey now. So kind of like a dream come true. So I think it was a good opportunity getting to that experience and to know what was going on and get to know the guys and the coaches and the systems. So but I think I'm a lot more prepared this year.
I want to go back to your senior season at Miami last year, your last year of college hockey. You guys won the regular season CCHA title. It was the second time you've done that during the course of your collegiate career, and you made the NCAA tournament for the fourth consecutive time. You can't do any better than that in 4 years of college hockey. Was that the kind of experience playing at Miami what you were looking for when you left the BCHL?
Yeah, definitely. I think I had a great time at Miami for my 4 years there. I think one thing that they developed there is not just the hockey aspect, but the personal side of things as well, and they do a great job of that. They got the whole brotherhood program, which really, that's pretty much the thing about it, is you're there to be a good person more than a hockey player almost. So I enjoyed that, and yeah, my time was great there. I made some great friends over my 4 years and got to play with great teams. So I think it was definitely a good 4 years, and I'm really happy I went the college route.
last year you guys made the tournament again, as I mentioned earlier, and you were in the Midwest bracket playing out of Toledo, Ohio. Being in the same state as where your school's campus is located, did that first game and even the second game, because you beat Minnesota State and you actually scored a goal in that game, and then you guys kind of rolled over them 4-0. But then you go and play St. Cloud State and you lost in the regional final 4-1. But was it almost like a home game to be playing in the same state?
I wouldn't really say a home game just because we never played there or anything before, but it was definitely nice for them to travel. I know my second year we had to go to New Hampshire, and our first game was against New Hampshire, so it was right down the road from their university. So like that was a road game, even though we had home ice, and we were the number one seed for that year. But so I definitely say it was nicer having the closer travel. I think Miami actually has a bid this year to Cincinnati, so if they get in the tournament, they'll get actual home ice. So
you guys have a chance to. You have the chance to, or you had a chance to make the Frozen Four for the second time, but lost to St. Cloud this past year. But what was it like playing Boston College in Detroit in 2010? You were a freshman when that was going on. What a way to start your college career.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty surreal being there in the Frozen Four and getting soaked up the event, but it was awesome until the game started. We got smoked that game 7-1. So that was pretty heartbreaking for our team that year. We had a lot going on. I think we were number one the whole year except for one weekend for our ranking, and kind of stormed over our league. So thought we had better fate for that year, but I just didn't pull it together in that semifinal game. So, and then you always kind of expect to be in Miami hockey that you get back there. So. Kind of heartbreaking that we never got a national title, which was everyone's ultimate goal going to college hockey. But it was good 4 years.
You mentioned how much you enjoyed the experience. You had a lot of choices out there in terms of good perennial powers in NCAA hockey, especially at the Division I level. Were you pretty thrilled to? You mentioned the off the ice stuff, but because Miami has been such a strong school and institution in hockey for the last, I'd say, closer to a decade now. They've really built their program up. Was it fun to be a part of that on the ice?
Yeah, it absolutely was. When I was there, I got 3 championships, which I don't think a lot of schools can say. But yeah, just on the ice, it was great to play for a winning culture. It made it a lot easier, I think, and made going to the rink easier when you got to go and grind out a week of practice in school. If you're able to win the weekend before, it just made it that much sweeter. So, yeah, the on ice was awesome. Miami's developed into, I'd say, one of the powerhouses of college hockey. So, it was great being there.
I always like to talk about it because it's so different. The NCAA tournament, even the conference tournaments, where you're playing in CCHA, WCHA, Hockey East. Everything's being rearranged this year because of the new Big Ten hockey conference as well. But tell me what it's like to play those one-and-done elimination games, particularly in the NCAA tournament, as opposed to your first experience playing playoff hockey in the American Hockey League, where you do play a series and it's not just one game and you either move on or go home.
I'm actually pretty against the college system. I might just be biased towards that because it never worked in our favor. But I wasn't really a big fan of the one-game elimination because, you run into a bad bounce or just one thing, a bad call, and it can end your season. So I wasn't a huge fan of it. But that being said, it's a short time frame, so I guess it's best team wins, and whoever the Bucks with them, so it works in their favor. So, but yeah, I think probably because we were never able to do much in those single game eliminations, where I think we would have had a lot better, or we would have been a lot better off with our teams with the 7-game series or 5-game series or even 3-game series, which I think really proves who's a better team more than just a single game.
If you had the ultimate say in sculpting a new rule change in the NCAA tournament, what would you? How long would you make each series?
I'd say, it's kind of tough just because we got the schooling and everything to go on, but I think the 3 games is pretty well. That's a determination, I'd say. We obviously you'd like 7, but that would just make the season too long, and with everything else going on. But those 3-game eliminate or best of 3, I think that would be a lot more helpful for allowing the best teams to be the best teams.
One of your teammates, and I should say roommates at Miami, was former now Texas Stars and Dallas Stars forward Riley Smith. How did you two end up being roommates? You're both when you both came in to Miami as freshmen.
Actually, we didn't really know each other when we first came in over Facebook a little bit, but I guess we were the 2 Canadians on the team, or 2 incoming freshmen that were Canadian, so they thought it would be a good idea to put us together. And it was honestly, from the moment we met, we just kind of took off from there, and we were best buddies there. So it was really fun 3 years, and then it's pretty crazy when I came up to Texas. Riley got sent down from Dallas that day, so he was driving back from Dallas while I was flying out, and he had an extra bedroom, so I got to move back in with him again. So who would have ever thought it worked like that? So it's kind of tough to see him go to Boston, but I mean that's the business side of hockey, and everything's not all going to be, I guess, sugar-coated for us. So best of luck to him with their organization.
I take it that you were a bit sad to hear the news when that trade happened right around the big draft.
It's hard to see a good buddy go. I think anyone would say that. I think you kind of grow attached to like players that you played with for a long time and have been good friends. So, been one of my best buddies for the past 4 years. So, yeah, I guess I'd be a bit sad, but that's the hockey world of it, so you can't really be sad over that stuff.
Now it would if you're with the Texas Stars this year, which it certainly looks like that's the plan, and Riley is going to be fighting for a spot either with Boston or Providence. It's going to take a very interesting, coming together for you two to meet across the ice as opponents. Would you welcome that to play against him in a pro game if it could happen at some point?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love to play against them, and I think we had maybe 1 or 2 games against each other back before we went to Miami, and I think the second one we were in a prospect game, and I wasn't too happy. He kept throwing his elbow up in my face, so I tried fighting him, but I think his gloves are glued on, so he didn't have to deal with that. But it was pretty funny how that worked out. So yeah, I like to play him again for sure.
Tell me what it's like getting into your first pro game, because you played a 4-year career, a very big part of your formative years with Miami. Then you go and sign an ATO with Texas. You hadn't yet signed with Dallas when you made your pro debut. It was April 6th of this year against the Hamilton Bulldogs, and just to strap on, a helmet without a full visor or a full shield or a cage, and play against guys who are of much more varieties of destinations in terms of where they're from, how old they are, drafts and all that. What was that like for you?
I was pretty excited, and yeah, it was pretty surreal. I think the first couple of games there that I was in the American League and playing professional hockey. It's been a long time, or I guess 4 years of college, where kind of playing against the same group of guys and playing with the same group of guys on your own team. So it was a good change of pace. It was a lot different, but it's playing against men now, so I enjoyed it.
Now, you got your first professional fighting major in that game, and I'm sure you'll remember this because it was asked about in media interviews afterwards, and obviously the fans reacted. You end up going to the penalty box after doing quite well in your first tilt, end up on the cameras picked you up on the big jumbotron, and you're in there with a huge grin on your face. And the fans loved it here at Cedar Park Center. It just absolutely went nuts, and it's almost like as if you were enamored with the Texas Stars fans right away because of that incident. You can't have enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my second fight, actually. My first fight I didn't do as well, but yeah, that was my second one. So just a scenario. I guess 4 years was a long time without getting to drop the mitts in college. So I enjoy the competitive nature and being able to be in those situations. So it was good. And then I didn't really even realize I was on the jumbotron at first, and I just kind of laughing to myself about the whole scenario of it. And then I looked up, and there's my mug on the screen, and then heard all the fans cheering and that. So it was pretty funny. No, it was definitely weird. So I think I just laughed even harder that I was up there. So yeah, I have a good time with that stuff.
Is it a little bizarre to think that something so minor in terms of a facial reaction or just you enjoying yourself and having a good time ended up rolling into not I wouldn't say a big deal, but certainly something that made a difference in terms of your persona and how people perceive you from the stands? You wouldn't necessarily think that something so little could go so far, but yet that did.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they like their fighters in Texas, judging by how they treat Gazdak. But it's pretty awesome getting to watch him skate around the ice. And I don't know, the other team could have the puck and he could just be skating around, and the whole crowd's yelling "Luke!" So that's pretty funny, I think. So I guess they enjoy that stuff in Texas, which is good for my situation.
That being said, you kind of enjoyed that side of things, as you've mentioned. Your first pro season is coming up here shortly as things quickly ramp towards the start of the year. Kind of looking forward to getting into it and really going at a first full pro season?
Yeah, I'm hugely excited. It's going to be a lot different than my 4 years at college. Now it's just going to be strictly focusing on hockey, which it's going to be different, but I'm going to enjoy that a lot. Where I guess in college you just have your head in the books and everything else going on. So I think it'll be a good season. I'm really excited where it's just going to be all hockey. So yeah, I just can't wait to get going.
You had a pretty busy summer though, because you had to go, or I don't know if you were required to or if you just chose to, went to the rookie development camp in Dallas, in Frisco at their training facility right after the NHL draft. It was the first week of July. A couple of brand new prospects that were just taken in the first few rounds for Dallas, as well as yourself and a bunch of guys that are just either about to break into the pro game or had been with the Stars maybe for a year. What was that experience like for you to play with that group of players, just sort of getting used to the idea of being a pro?
Yeah, it was awesome being there. I think it's a different side of things now that I had a few games in. So I just kind of looked at it as I think I was the oldest guy at camp, so just kind of looked to be a leader and help other guys out, because I remember my first couple camps there where you're looking up at all these older guys who have already played in the American League or whatever, and like how it'd be crazy to be in their situation, and then just kind of surreal with everything going around being drafted in that. So it was awesome to be around them and kind of see that and see the talent that Dallas has for the future, which is looking pretty bright. I think they got a lot of good players there, so it was good being there.
It sounds like you're in a different comfort zone this year than you were in the past.
Yeah, I'd say so. I guess now that I've kind of got games under my belt, it's kind of changed the mentality for, I guess, to more I can do it than, oh, can I do it? It's questioning myself. So I think I have a lot more confidence in myself now.
Last year, you played for the Stars for 5 games in the regular season and then a couple in the Calder Cup playoffs. You had 1 assist against Rockford in the last game of the regular season. You almost scored your first goal, and I know you can remember what I was talking about, because players always seem to remember the ones that either almost went in or didn't. Then they do sometimes the goals. I remember laughing with you after the game of just how close that came. You're definitely destined to get that first pro goal sooner than later, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'd be nice to cross that off the list. I guess I got the first fight and point off the list, so now it's just that goal. So, yeah, hopefully it doesn't take too long. I think I'll be scratching my head if it is, but yeah, hopefully we'll see.
You only had 14 penalty minutes, or I say only. You had 14 in only 5 games. You had 90 in 53 games your last year of playing juniors in Penticton. And I just have to ask, you had a pretty solid amount of penalty minutes during your college career, and you're not allowed to fight, of course, in college without getting kicked out of the game and then suspended subsequently. How do you get 80 penalty minutes in about 40 games?
It's hard to say. They got some rules I don't really like in there. They got the old face mask. touch a guy's face mask, you get 5 minutes and a game misconduct, which is probably 15 minutes right there. And I had probably a few too many of those in my career than I would have wanted. And no, there's some other things too. I don't think you're really allowed to play a full or be fully on. Just to have the whole. What's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of it, but you can't play like my full style of game there without getting a lot of penalties in college hockey. It's just the refereeing and I guess how they want the game tailored to be in college. You don't have the freedom to, I guess, be a physical player. And, because if you run someone over, you're going to get a penalty if they don't have the fighting. So I think, and part of my thing is to get frustrated here and there where, I think it would be a situation where I would want to fight or there's somebody running around or running their mouth or taking shots at our little guys, but you can't really do anything about it because it's college hockey and they're hiding behind their cage. So I like to see that get switched up in college as well. I wasn't too big of a fan of that, but so just things like that kind of add up and get to you. And then I think my style of game being the physical and I guess rougher, you're a lot more prone to it in college hockey to get a lot of penalties.
Do you see that are you in terms of, obviously you couldn't do too much of it because of the college game, but could you be in the agitating style a little bit?
I'd say. I know just growing up in that, how many people I've met that just absolutely hated playing against me and just hated me until they met me. So I've always been a bit of a agitator. I wouldn't say that's my full role or one that I don't think that would be my full ability, but I think just by being a player that finishes their hits all the time and you don't even really have to yap a lot, but if you're just making a physical presence every night that you will get under the skin of players, and I think that's a good way to just agitate by just being physical.
Texas Stars player last year who had a fantastic first half and turned that into being a NHL player with Dallas is Antoine Roussel. And it's interesting, the longer you talk about some of the things you like to do and your style of play, the more it reminds me of what he did and what he was able to do here that translated into being a guy that played every night for the Dallas Stars. Is that watching a guy like that who's, second, third year pro, plays with that sort of chip on his shoulder, went out and hit guys a lot, didn't always drop the gloves, but he wasn't afraid of it, but also was, contributing offensively as well and being a real menace on the ice. Does that give you a lot of encouragement that you could go out there and do that same kind of stuff and maybe step on an NHL ice surface sooner than later?
Yeah, I think he's a great guy to look up to. I've never played or been able to play with him, so I'm just going off what I've heard, but from what I've heard, he's just worked for everything he's got, and that I guess he's one of the hardest workers every day in practice and off the ice and in games, and just really every shift he just goes like harder than you could expect. So I think he's a player that really has earned his spot in the NHL, and it wasn't just handed to him. So I think he's definitely a guy I can look up to for that situation.
Well, you have the Traverse City tournament this weekend, finished with the final place game, depending on how you guys do the first 3 games on Monday, and then it's a couple of days to get back to Dallas because training camp in Fort Worth, the sort of off-site training camp, begins. What's as now going into pro hockey as opposed to knowing you were still going to be in college, what's it like getting ready for that first NHL camp? And, hey, you'll get a chance to play next to Roussel amongst all the Dallas Stars guys.
Oh, it's still, I'd say it's definitely a bit weird because you're watching these guys on TV last how many years and growing up, and they're kind of like, boy, these guys are amazing, and then now I'm going to be playing against them. So I think when I'm out there, I can't let that get into my mindset about how good they are and what they've done, and just kind of have to believe I belong with them, and I think that's going to help me do my best while I'm up there.
I know that I talked to Mike Hedden about this last couple of weeks ago when the trade happened with Boston, and both Riley Smith and Matt Frazier went to the Bruins. 2 left wings that played a substantial amount of time for the Texas Stars went during that trade. Do you see that, just like Hedden did, as an opportunity for maybe you to step in and impose yourself on the lineup? You have to earn it just like everybody else, but maybe an opening there you might be able to to show your stuff and maybe enhance your role?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much all on what I can do, so what I can perform. So can't really say much on that as whether it'll help me or not. But I think it's something that, yeah, you know, you do see that they left, so maybe there's a few more openings or open spots that I might have the opportunity. So I just have to be ready for when those opportunities come to make the best of them. And because I know that, yeah, I'm not going to be handed anything with my career, so I definitely just have to work hard and capitalize when I can.
We've talked a lot of hockey, which is obviously the point because we are a professional hockey team here. But tell me, did you do anything this summer to kind of unwind, or have you just been steadily raising the level to get ready for this training camp and moving forward into your pro career?
I guess after the start of the season, after the end of last season, after playoffs ended, I got to go back to Miami and kind of make a closure there. I didn't get to do that when our season left because I left 2 days after, so I had to go back and pack everything up and then kind of like saying goodbye to the boys. So I was there for a week getting to do that, and then after that I headed home and back to Golden, where there, I guess we don't really have any ice, small little town or anything, so got some time with my family and used that to relax and just kind of was back there for a week or so, and then moved down to Vancouver, and that's where I really kind of started to ramp things up. So I had a good summer. I feel really confident in it, and yeah, I think I'm ready to go.
How about this? Obviously, Ohio in the wintertime, not unlike British Columbia in terms of the weather. It could depend a little bit, maybe even a little bit colder, more snowy. I can imagine if you get a chance to make, either playing for Dallas or for the Texas Stars this year, that you might have some family members and relatives that'll be very excited to hit up the southern weather during the hockey season.
Oh, I've already got quite the list there that I think want to come down to Texas, and we're talking about, like, if I'm in Austin, which I think will probably happen, is I think a lot of people want to come down, and I don't really know if they want to come see me or just come to the city of Austin. They're all pretty excited with all the live music and things to do in town there, so I really don't know if I'll even see them or if they'll just be down there for vacation on their own.
Well, Curtis, it's an absolute pleasure to catch up with you and see how things are going. I know that you're very much focused on this NHL Prospects Tournament this weekend, so best of luck to you this weekend. We'll keep an eye on you, and then going into Dallas's NHL camp. And I hope that you have the best of luck there. If you do make it down to Texas, to Austin, that is, we'll look forward to seeing you for the Texas Stars camp at the end of September.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
That's Curtis McKenzie joining us here for episode 14 of Summer with the Stars. I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week.